Hello.
Hello.
And welcome.
No, we're doing it again.
Hello.
No, hold on.
Hello.
Stop.
I can't keep up.
Hello. And welcome.
To Sort of the Story.
I'm Janey.
And I'm Max.
And this is the podcast where we tell each other stories like fairy tales and folk tales and mythology and anything else we want to talk about.
And also you are here.
Wow. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Welcome. Did you have a good week off from us? Tell the truth. Was it nice?
Was it good or bad?
Do we make your life better or worse when we're here? You have to tell us.
You know what they say about how distance makes the heart grow fonder or whatever? Absence?
Distance.
Absence
It's
makes
absence,
the heart
but
grow
I
fonder?
like distance. Makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, the further away, the better.
The further physically you are from our location,
Yeah.
the more nice your heart is.
Yeah. How about you get the fuck away from us?
We are bad for your cholesterol.
9 out of 10 doctors agree we're bad. You should get away from us.
That other doctor is Dr. Boobs, and you can't trust him for nothing.
Nah, he's not a doctor.
This podcast is not for children. So if you're listening in like a car with your kids because you're thinking fairy tales, it's not that kind of podcast. Turn it off.
Yeah, the E is for explicit, not everyone.
Yeah, Max.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. It's just for us. And also you are here.
And also you are here. Welcome. Max, we're on episode 110.
110.
110.
110.
Amazing.
Pretty good.
Well, Max,
Janey,
you got any news or do you want to just jump into things?
do I have any news? Happy Thanksgiving. That already happened?
Yeah, how'd it go? We're in the time machine, so like Thanksgiving hasn't happened yet for us. What do you think is going to happen on Thanksgiving? Are you going home?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I guess we're going to hang out then, probably.
Cool.
Yeah, I know that our friends are having their family come visit and they invited us for their Thanksgiving, which would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
We can also get a teeny tiny turkey for 2.
Aw, a little rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
I did that a couple years ago. My partner at the time was working on Thanksgiving and was like, man, I like having a big dinner. And I was like, well, I'm going to keep that in mind. And I went to the store and I got a big old rotisserie chicken I got a whole chicken that I cooked with a beer can chicken.
Yeah.
And then I made like a little pan of stuffing and stuff like that. And it was great.
Cute.
Yeah. But I love a tiny Thanksgiving dinner.
I just love Thanksgiving dinner so much.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
I think we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
We talked about this last time.
I really like stuffing if it's like on its own. But my favorite thing about like a Thanksgiving meal is cranberry sauce because it's such a weird inclusion in a meal. And I love it. It's like nice and tart and like really sets apart from all of the other kind of dishes that are traditional to Thanksgiving. So if it's just like, if I'm like, what one do I like to eat the most? It's that one. But if I'm like the MVP of Thanksgiving, it's cranberry sauce.
Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
Yeah.
Honestly, Thanksgiving is amazing, and I love all the food, and I love making the Thanksgiving sandwich the next day with all of the rolls and the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the gravy and all that stuff in one sandwich. Mm-hmm. Amazing. But if I'm being honest, I'm just trying to push through until we can just start regularly consuming eggnog.
Yeah.
I am a big old fan of eggnog.
And you're allergic to whiskey. You can't even have it fun style.
No, and I've never liked the fun style. Even before I knew I was allergic to whiskey, if I had it, it just ruined the eggnog for me. Because what I like is the sweet milk.
I like light eggnog. And that's something probably bad about me. But I like the light eggnog that's like a little bit thinner. Because regular eggnog is too goopy for me.
I like it thick. Thick. Okay.
Ooh, eggnog ice cream also is really good.
Anything eggnog. I like the eggnog lattes too. I'm just a big old fan of nog.
Yeah, love a good nutmeg.
I'm a real nog hog. That's what they call me. Okay. Well, if you liked this conversation and you're thinking, wow, that was riveting, or you're thinking, hey, they took a whole week off and I missed them and what was I going to do without my sweet, sweet content? We have some really good news for you. We have a lot of extra bonus content that only a select few are allowed to listen to. And you can find all that on our Patreon. Max, take it away.
Absolutely. You can find the link to our Patreon in the show notes for this episode and every episode. For $3 a month, you can join us on Discord and hang out with us. You have 24/7 access to us. You can just send us a message whenever you want, and that's pretty fun.
People over the break still got to chat with us.
Yeah, I imagine it was probably fun.
If I honestly had to make a prediction, we sent them too many memes.
Probably.
And I don't know, probably got weirdly... Like, send them a bunch of weird pet pics.
Yeah. I'm going to get weirdly emotional at some point, probably. And also, I'm going to ask some weird questions in the Ask You Anything.
Max has really been... The Ask You Anything corner is really your baby.
It really is.
And you ask... Why do I keep saying ask? You ask some pretty great questions.
Thanks.
I can't speak, apparently. It's going to be a good episode.
Yeah, pretty good. I'm really excited.
So that's the $3 level.
Yes.
It's really good.
And then for $7 a month, you get a whole ass bonus episode, which is just like our regular episodes, but bonus. And that is a full-length, thick, goopy episode with nutmeg sprinkled on top. You can have it cold or warm. And that's only for our $7 patrons on Patreon. So check that out.
Very fun. Okay. Well, that was brilliant.
Thank you.
Wow, that was one for the books, Max.
Wow.
A whole ass goopy episode.
Or if you don't like eggnog, for $7, you can tell us that you don't like eggnog and we'll say, we don't care.
And then we'll just send you a bunch of pictures of eggnog. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good job.
Thanks.
So, Max, you go first today.
I do go first today.
You want to tell me a little ditty?
I do. Let's get this ditty done.
Let's get this ditty done.
Okay, Janey.
Dum ditty do.
We will. The story that I have for you this week is from 30 Spine-Tingling Tales, Even More Short and Shivery by Robert D. Sansucci. I've used these books a couple of times now. This is a collection of books in the Short and Shivery series by Robert D. Sansucci. I came across them like a month or so ago, and I have all 4 of them, and they are absolute gold mines. I have reached a really weird point where, so Robert D. Sansucci passed away in 2014, unfortunately, but he was such an incredible author. Like, I love the way that he writes these stories, but also a really incredible researcher.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have considered himself a folklorist, but he really is in a lot of ways. I would love to just know what books are in his library, because I've been thinking about this like all day, because I also read, again, I keep reading this entire book every time I try and find a story from it, because every one of the stories is so good that I'm like, oh, that's really good. Another one. So every time every time I try and find a story from these books, I end up reading like the entire book, because they're like tiny little paperbacks. They also have the like 90s style Are You Afraid of the Dark kind of.
They look like Goosebumps books.
Yeah. Covers, which I absolutely love. I love this particular cover because he has it's a skeleton, and he's reading the first book in the Short and Shivery series. And he's sitting in a little armchair by the fire, and his armchair has a doily over the back of it. And
that has skulls on it.
Yeah, the like lace pattern of skulls. So you know that he's into like home decorating. And also he has a cat that's on his lap that is not letting him read, and that's really relatable to me.
I love the little snake. So he's reading to a little snake. Like, he has the book turned to the snake as if he's showing the snake pictures. And the snake is really interested in it. It's a little yellow snake, like our little yellow snake friend on our podcast thumbnail. And
also there's a little rat sitting on the doily on the back of the armchair, and he's also reading it.
And there's a spooky hand coming out of the bookshelf, and there's some bats. Yeah. And there's a little scorpion. The more you look at these covers, the more you see, and that's a true delight.
Yeah, he's got so many little friends. I love it. But I would love to see what is in Robert D. Sansucci's library, because he is a children's book author. He wrote a bunch of like children's picture books of like a single fairy tale, a bunch of really cool ones. The story of Mulan, he's one of the people to have written the short story version basically before the movie came out, but he like did a bunch of research for it and stuff like that. So he wrote a bunch of like single one-off fairy tale books. He also wrote a couple of these collections, and a lot of them are like spooky scary.
Yeah.
But they're so like far-reaching, and they have so many stories that I've never encountered anywhere else, and it's super fascinating. And so like you go through all of his references, and again, I said this on one of the previous episodes, but this book looks like you should not trust it as a resource.
Yeah.
But like looking through all of his sources and everything at the end, he is, again, a very diligent researcher.
God, so
which
good.
I absolutely love. And so it's a really great source. But all of the sources that he references, I'm like, how did you come across this? Like, you must have a truly massive library of super weird stuff. And I love it. So this is one of those stories. I've told a similar story on the podcast before, but we'll get to that a little bit later. This story is called The Sending.
Okay.
Again, found this in Even More Short and Shivery by Robert D. Sansucci. Originally recorded in, I think, in a bunch of books by Jan Arnason, who is like an Icelandic story collector from the 1800s, I believe. I haven't had any luck in finding a really good translation of his collected works of Icelandic folk and fairy tales, but they reference the fact that it is in his books. I don't know which book, and I couldn't find it online. Also, Legends of Icelandic Magicians by Jacqueline Simpson. This is an Icelandic story, and it's important to know ahead of time that Iceland was kind of sort of colonized by Christianity at a certain point. Mm-hmm. But Iceland, has a lot of the Norse tales and stuff like that are a big part of their background. There's also a lot of magic, like the Huldafolk in Iceland and everything like that are kind of built into Iceland's identity. And then they were kind of Christianized. Mm-hmm. And so all of these ideas of like magic and things like that, the people, like the real life people who were considered like quote unquote witches and warlocks and sorcerers were all like physically pushed out up to the north of Iceland. So there's like this weird, like all of these weird little pockets and conclaves of like witchcraft in northern Iceland. It's
cool.
Like in real life, which is really fucking cool.
That is cool.
So after this period of sort of Christianization and of magic being sort of shuffled out to the north area of Iceland, there's this really weird thing, which you've talked before about, like the idea of like Filipino
folk Christianity,
folk
Catholicism.
Yeah, and it's very similar. Of there are these ideas about Christianity that are really deeply intertwined with ideas about like the Huldafolk and about sort of things that are more inherent to the folklore of the land, which I think is very, very cool. I think there was a story that I told about like a little boy and a smart wizard, and the little boy was beset by the devil for being a dum-dum and everything. So it's like they have these ideas about like the devil being someone who like physically comes to get you, basically.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting and funny. He's just like the bad guy in all the stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a little bit of a peek into that. So
this is very exciting.
Yeah. The Sending. The Sending, or a Sendingur, is a ghost sent by a witch, warlock, sorcerer to basically haunt someone, to curse them.
So it's like the little, was it an Icelandic story that you told about the little ghost boy?
Yeah.
That was done? That's that, right?
Mori of Irefell is a sending, a Sendingur.
Nice.
Yeah. So this story opens with an explanation of ascending, and it's called a sending because obviously it's sent. It's sort of a little bit of an anglicized term that is also in Icelandic Sendingur.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit ironic because it's supposed to be this idea of like, oh, you're sending someone something, but you're not sending it to them. You're sending it like at them, basically.
After them.
Yeah. So that is ascending. There once was a woman named Gudrun Grimsdottir. Her nickname was Gunna.
Okay.
She had been married for most of her life to a man who she loved very, very much. But as she got a little bit older, he unfortunately passed away. And she was still, she was prime of her life, a beautiful woman, and her husband had been very wealthy. So she was left with a lot of property to her name. So all of these things together combined to mean that she was like a very advantageous match for a lot of men. And so a lot of people were...
She's gonna get suitors.
She's gonna get suited.
She's gonna get courted.
So a lot of men start to court her, and she makes it very clear to everyone. She's like, I'm not interested. I loved my husband. I had a very happy life with him, and I feel no need whatsoever to have another husband.
Yeah.
I had the one, he was good, and now I'm good.
and I don't have to have another because I'm richer than you guys.
Yeah. So
love it.
So all of these men are constantly like, hey, pretty lady, will you marry me? And she's like, absolutely not.
Hey, little mama, won't you whisper in my ear? And she's like, no.
What do you want me to say?
Go away. What a weird way to do this.
Yep. One of these men who covets her is a man named Sigurdur. And he is known to be a very cruel man, and he is a man who is practiced in black magic.
Oh, Sigurdur.
He's a bad fucking dude. And he is also her neighbor. And he sees all of these people courting her, and he's like, ew, why? And then he thinks about it. And he realizes that if he were to marry her, he could combine their lands and he would be able to like basically double his property. And he's like, oh, well then she should marry me, obviously, so I can have more land and property.
Yeah.
And so he goes to her and he's like, hey, I want to marry you. Okay. So when do you want to do this? And she's like, no, I'm not going to marry you. And he's like, okay, super funny. But like when, like, what do you want to do? Like, we're going to get married. So like what? And she's like, no, I'm not going to marry you. I'm not interested. Please leave.
Get out of my house.
And he's like, okay. And he like comes back a day later and he's brought like a muffin. And he's like, hey, so I just wanted to let you know, like, I'm serious and like we are getting married. And she's like, no, I don't want to marry you and you can leave and I'm not interested and please don't come back.
What if he comes back like with his laundry and he's like, here you go. Just so you know, I'm really serious to give you a little insight into what's to come.
He's like, no, listen, I will marry you. Like, you don't have to play around. Like, you can just say yes. And she's like, no, I don't want to marry you. I'm not going to marry you. And so for like weeks, he just is constantly like, hey, so you gonna marry me yet? And she's like, absolutely not. And get out.
Yeah.
And he just does not know how to take no for an answer.
Gross.
And eventually he becomes like frustrated and he's like, listen, this isn't funny. You are going to marry me, so... And she's like, no, I'm actually not. And he's like, okay, you keep saying no, and that's pissing me off. So if you say no again, things are going to get really bad for you.
Gross.
And she's like, okay, great. They're already pretty bad because you won't fucking leave me alone.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to marry you. So no. Big old no. 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 Get out and no. He's like, okay, well, that's it. And like storms off. So she is a very canny woman. And so she knows that, you know, she is now pissed off someone who is, again, very mean, very shitty, and practiced in black magic. And so she's like keeping an eye out for, she's like, so he's going to do something, right?
Yeah.
So she's just keeping aware of her surroundings at all times. So she just kind of like stays on guard because she knows that he's going to come after her. And one day it's summer and it's a beautiful warm day and she's in the kitchen, she's preparing some dinner and she again has this huge plot of land and a lot of it's farmland. And so she has a bunch of farmhands who help her kind of tend to the land and everything like that. So she's preparing dinner for herself and for the farmhands to eat when they finish their day's work. And she realizes she's like standing over the vegetables that she's preparing and she realizes suddenly that her house is silent. Completely silent. And it was like a warm summer day. I mean, Iceland, but still like a warm summer's day with like the sun coming in through the windows. And she suddenly feels this chill throughout the house, like as though the temperature has just dropped 10 degrees throughout the whole house. And she turns around and she like starts looking around and she sees by her front door the shadow of a man like cast underneath the door. And she looks outside and there's nobody outside. It's just the shadow. And then the shadow moves in through the front door and into her kitchen. And it's this figure of a man. It's a shadow. But again, there's no one there casting the shadow. And it's all this like dark, like sort of greasy, shadowy figure. Except that right in the center where a human heart would be is this like glowing white spot. And so she watches this shadow kind of come into the house and it starts coming towards her completely silently. And she backs up and she backs into the larder, like the pantry where, you know, and she closes the door and she sees in the light that it like comes into the larder with her.
Oh no.
And she reaches behind her for a knife that she had been using earlier to prepare some mutton for dinner. Because she knows, and this is a quote, "Creatures of air and darkness have no love for an honest iron blade." It's a very cool line.
Oh, iron.
Yeah. So she reaches for the iron knife that she was using a little bit earlier.
The theme of iron stopping like supernatural forces is across so many different cultures. It really makes you wonder why.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what is the origin? I feel like we've asked this before, but I don't know if we've ever actually done research for it. Like, why? Why was iron so... Was it because it was like relatively new when a lot of these myths were being formed?
Maybe. I have no idea. Interesting to think about, though.
Yeah.
So her hand closes around this iron blade that she's left sitting on kind of the like countertop in the pantry with her. And she sees this thing in the shadow like start to rush towards her, and she runs out, and like the door was resting closed. She rushes out, busts down the door, and this thing is like rushing at her, and she takes the knife and she stabs directly into the white spot in the center of its chest.
Yeah.
And she feels the knife hit something solid.
Ooh.
And this creature like twists away in pain. And in a few moments, it just completely silently like writhes around for a minute and then disappears completely along with the knife.
Oh, it took her knife. Okay.
And she is left alone in the kitchen. And as soon as she knows that she's safe, she opens the door and she calls all of the farmhands and she's like, please come help. Someone is trying to hurt me. And they all come in and she explains what happened. She's like, I was in the kitchen and this shadow like came to attack me and I stabbed it with an iron knife and it disappeared.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we know what this is. And so she and all of the farmhands immediately begin searching the floor of the kitchen and the area right outside of the kitchen, like the lawn area.
Yeah.
And they all hunt around until one of them finds in the dirt and rocks outside of the house, finds a splinter of a human bone with an iron knife sticking out of it.
Ooh.
So they bring this like bone with the knife into the kitchen and they're like, okay, someone has cast this curse on you. And one of the farmhands starts to go and like pull the knife out and they're like, whoa, don't do that. It might not be safe. Yeah. So they call for a sorcerer from up north to come and help them. So this sorcerer comes down from the north and they kind of just like leave this knife and this bone alone until he gets there. And he's like, it's good that you did that. Yeah. Definitely don't want to do that. And so he prepares this whole ritual where he sort of like pins the bone down and he starts like twisting the knife to try and pull it out while he chants over the bone. Yeah. And as soon as he starts like trying to remove this knife, the bone starts twisting under his hand like a snake. Yeah. And he has to like pin it down onto the table while he's trying to remove this knife and chanting this incantation over it. And finally, when the knife is completely dislodged from it, he takes the bone and quickly throws it into the fire. And this plume of black smoke billows out of the bone and in the fire. And he takes a glass jar, and he catches the smoke in the jar, closes the lid tightly. And as soon as the lid is closed, the black smoke in the jar turns into a fly, like a huge, ugly fly that is just buzzing around inside of this jar. And the sorcerer explains, he's like, the thing that was sent after you was a demon. Someone with magical powers sent this thing to come and hurt you. I have it captured here, but that like evil intent is going to continue unless you set this thing back on the person who cursed you.
Oh, hell yeah.
And she's like, fucking done and done. So she takes the jar and she prepares to make a plan. The next day, Gunna takes the glass jar and she has this like finely filigreed gold box that she just had. She takes the jar and she puts it in this gold box and she puts on her finest dress and she does herself up all nice. And then she goes out to her horse and she rides to Sigurdur's house with this gold box in her hands. And she knocks on the front door and he opens the door and he's like, oh, fuck, alive. What? Shit. And she's like, hi, hello. And he's like, oh, why are you here? And she's like, well, I thought a little bit more about your proposal. And I think I want to get married after all. And he's like, oh, okay, great. Okay, awesome. Fantastic.
Even better than my plan B.
Yeah, amazing. And so he's like, but wait, how do I know you're serious? And she says, well, I brought you a gift, a betrothal gift. And he sees this gold box and immediately his eyes light up and he's like, ooh.
The casino, like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Just like dollar signs across his eyes.
She shows him the gold box and he's like, ooh, exciting. A present for me. I've earned it. And she's like, do you want to see what it is? And he's like, yeah. And so she opens the lid of this gold box and kind of tips it away from him. And he leans in to see what's inside of the box. And she grabs the glass jar from inside of the box and smashes it on the stone floor at his feet. And this fly turns back into this black smoke and it billows out and around Sigurdur. And everywhere that it touches his skin, it becomes like contusion blue. Yes. And swollen and just like like his whole body becomes a massive bruise,
Yes.
basically wherever the smoke touches it. And then it like gets up and it reaches up to his face, and his face transforms into the face of like the twisted snarl of a mountain troll. And his whole body like creaks and cracks as he becomes a troll.
Ooh.
And as soon as this like agonizing transformation is completed, he gets up and he furiously begins to swipe at Gunna, but she was ready. So she steps back out of the front door and walks out into the sunshine towards her horse. And she hears the sounds behind her of this creature like screeching in fury, because trolls cannot be out in the sunshine.
Yeah.
So, and that is where the story ends.
So he turns into like a big old stone guy.
Probably. It doesn't specifically say whether he goes out into the sunshine and dies or whether he just is stuck in his house forever. Not sure. Yeah. But that's where the story ends, and I think it's very fucking cool.
That is cool.
So that is ascending. It is this idea in Icelandic witchcraft of, you know, being able to curse someone with a ghost. And Mori of Irefel, which I think we told in one of the bonus episodes, is like a ghost that was, again, set upon a woman and her husband by jealous suitors who wanted to marry her.
Yeah.
And when she turned them down for her husband, they were like, well, fuck you.
Yeah. God. And it's all just fucking incels. Like, that's just the whole thing.
Yes. But in the process of trying to research this, it's really hard to research sendings because the term is not commonly used. It's more sort of internal to Icelandic conversations about folklore. It's not so much in the translated works. But I learned a bunch about Icelandic ghosts today. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. One thing that's really interesting, in the year 1652, in northern Iceland, the first man was hanged for witchcraft. There was this huge witch hunt that went on, especially with these ideas. Like, this was during sort of the period of Christianization, where all of these ideas about magic became suddenly sort of frowned upon and like legally actionable.
It's just wild considering how much magic there was in Iceland, like how much of the culture was just steeped in magic.
So there's this massive witch hunt, and the first man killed is a man named Jon Ragnvaldsson, and he is hanged for the crime of witchcraft, specifically for raising a ghost or zombie. The terminology differs, but basically this sending to attack a man that he had a grievance against. So the first man hanged for witchcraft in Iceland was hanged for the crime of doing this. But there are a bunch of different stories about ghosts and sort of like zombies and revenants and things like that that are inherent to Icelandic witchcraft. There's Draugr, which are a lot of people know them from Skyrim. They're like zombie guys. Bunch of different kinds of Draugr who are like corporeal, basically, but they are oftentimes like revenants who are conjured by a warlock of some kind, or they are like sort of more in ghost style. They are the body and spirit of someone who has died and who is like sort of haunting their area, but they are like a physical presence. So a lot of times they will like hang out in the cairn where they're buried, or in the barrow. And if you try and go in and like take their stuff, then they'll eat you.
So don't touch their stuff. That's how I am too.
Yeah.
You come in here and try to take my stuff, I'll eat you.
I'll fucking eat you.
I'll fucking get you.
I'll fucking get you. And then there's Gengangir, who are like sort of the walking again, who are these spirits who come back because of some unfinished business or something like that. They're usually not raised. It's more so like a traditional like ghost with unfinished business kind of situation. This is specifically a sendingur, which is a kind of ghost that is like someone who wouldn't have been any of these forms of undead or like revenant, except for the interference of magic. And oftentimes they are described as these sort of incorporeal, mist-like beings, which also makes them much more difficult to kill. But there's a bunch of really fascinating research about this that I went down a rabbit hole for like an hour and a half learning about Icelandic ghosts. I'll link a couple of different articles that I read, but there's the Icelandic Museum of Witchcraft and Sorcery, which is... There's a bunch of really fucking cool stuff there.
Intrigued.
Yeah, I went through their whole... Atlas Obscura did an article where they interviewed the guy who ran it for many years, who hasn't unfortunately passed away in 2018. But some of the things that they have on display, one of them is called the Necro Pants. And it's a pair of pants made out of human skin.
Sure.
You have to get a man's consent before he dies to turn his leg skin into necropants. And then after he's dead, you have to dig him up and like flay him from the waist down without breaking any of the skin. So it's like you have to do like one
you have to kind of deglove him, deleg him.
Deleg him. And then you take the skin and then you steal a gold coin from a widow, and then you put the gold coin...
Wait, so you have to get his consent, but you can just steal from the widow.
Yeah, you have to steal. You can't ask her for it. It has to be stolen from a widow.
Oh, fuck them.
You steal a gold coin from a widow, and then you put the gold coin inside of the skin leg's scrotum.
Ew, his pockets.
Yeah, and then you have a purse that creates money.
What?
Yeah, just forever money.
Do you have to wear them?
No.
Good.
I don't think so. But that's just something that they have on display there. They also have this horrifying thing that is like, it can only be made by a woman. She has to take a dead man's rib and keep it in her in like the bosom of her dress, and then take it to church every week for a couple of weeks and feed the bone church wine for a couple of weeks. And then like she has to do like some other like weird shit or something like that, and like walk around a graveyard 3 times. And then it turns into this massive like hairy worm creature with heads at both ends that steals milk or creates milk. Not super clear on the details, but super fucked up and weird.
Wait, has she heard of a cow?
A cow?
Perhaps one single cow?
I mean, So check out that museum. I want to go so bad.
Add it to the list of places that we would like to go to.
Yeah, I would love to. I think it's in Reykjavik.
I would love to go to Reykjavik.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a little bit about Icelandic ghosts and curses and witchcraft.
How fun.
Yeah, pretty weird.
Fun and spooky and awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, what a spooky guy.
Yeah. Good job.
Thanks.
I enjoyed that. As always, these books are bangers.
Bang, bang, bang.
Okay, let's take a break.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. Okay, Max.
Okay, Janey.
Max, okay. I got a new book called Winter Tales, Stories from Around the World by Dawn Casey and illustrated by Xana Goldhawk.
Ooh.
And it's a beautiful, I got it because it was beautiful. I mean, a lot of times I don't do that, but this was part of my in a full depression and shopping online and getting only pretty folklore books.
I love it.
So this one is a completely fully illustrated in a very folksy style, Winter Tales from Around the World. And I thought that since we're in December now, or at least late November, when this episode comes out, it's probably perfect to start telling some like cold stories.
Yeah, got to get some cold ones. We got a frosty episode here.
Yeah.
A couple of frosty guys.
A little bit of a frosty guy. Right off the bat, I'm going to talk about this book just a teeny tiny bit, but it's beautiful. The cover is gorgeous, and I don't know, it makes me really happy to have this at this time of year. So.
It's a really beautiful cover. It's like beautifully illustrated and painted, and it also has like the gold gilding on the letters and everything, which is always really nice. It's like a nice hardcover book.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, well, the story that I'm going to tell you today is a Siberian tale called Sister and Brother. Okay, first sentence is the quote. Far, far, far north, at the edge of the world, the land is snow and the sea is ice. The sun is drawn across the sky by a reindeer. Here, on the Arctic tundra, a family lived, a girl and a boy and their mother, in a warm chum tent. So a chum tent is a reindeer skin tent. It looks a little bit to me like a teepee, but specifically for like the indigenous Siberian people.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, they are beautiful. Beautiful.
I like it.
Little tents. They are specifically used by reindeer herders.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
From the reindeer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, it's a girl and a boy and their mom. Their father had died in the springtime, so where usually they would have like shared responsibilities between the husband and the wife, the mom is forced to do everything this winter, all the work that they would normally share.
A single mom who works 2 jobs.
She works multiple jobs. She loves her kids and their restaurant.
No.
I still have never looked up the lyrics. On top of making and sewing all of their reindeer skin and reindeer fur clothing and putting up the tent and cooking the food and watching over their children and doing all the stuff that she would normally do, she's also forced to be the one to catch fish or hunt geese for their food and herd their reindeer. And so eventually, after doing this for like months, she gets super overworked and completely exhausted. And so she falls ill. And so she's laying in their tomb next to their like dwindling fire, and the embers are all like starting to go out. And she asks her son to go outside and fetch the wood so the fire won't go out. She's like, it's really important that it doesn't go out. Can you please go outside? But her son is still fairly young, so I do have to give him a little bit of grace, but what a little shit. He's like warm and snug inside of this like deerskin blanket. And outside, Blizzard, they have Blizzard capitalized like Blizzard is an entity, like she's a character. Okay?
Oh, like Frost.
Yes. Outside, Blizzard is howling and screaming, and she's shaking their tent with her icy winds. And the boy's hearing his mom like, son, can you please go get the firewood? And he's like, honk shoe, honk shoe, honk shoe. Like, I'm asleep. And he like snuggles in warmer and just pretends not to hear her. And so finally she sighs and she asks her daughter, and she says, daughter, go outside and get some wood. The fire is going out. But her daughter is busy braiding her long black hair. And she also isn't responding to her mom. And the mom's like, this sucks. Wish my kids were fucking better. And so the fire hissed and sighed, and it finally died. And with its last dying sigh, the fire sent out one last spark, which rose through the hole in their tomb and landed on Blizzard's cloak.
Oh, no.
And quote, Fzzzt. That's the F-Z-Z-Z-T.
Yeah.
Fzzzt. There it burnt a black, jagged hole in her cloak.
Oh, my God.
So
that's her favorite cloak.
That's her favorite fucking cloak. Outraged, Blizzard howled and ripped open the tent flaps, and she whirled in an icy fury. And their mother jumped up and spread her arms out in front of her kids to protect them from Blizzard's rage, but Blizzard just like breathed all over her, and until her arms turned into wings and she was transformed into a screeching seagull.
Oh.
Crap. With that, the mother was whisked away to the place where Blizzard lives. Quote, the ice tomb at the top of the highest mountain.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like a pointy mountaintop that would look like a... That's really cool. I like that. It's good imagery.
It is. Once there, Blizzard breathed on the gull, and she turned back into a woman, and she was given an ice needle and snow cloth and was forced to sew with stinging fingers a new cloak for Blizzard. She's like, you broke it! You make me a new one! So, faster. And the mom's like, I have a cold. This would be a really good commercial for, like, do you know the old Campbell Soup commercials?
Yeah.
The little adorable animated kids with their, like, red noses. Mm-hmm. And they melt. They're first snowmen, and then they melt into a child. Yeah. Be really good.
That'd be really good.
Commercial for this story.
Or, like, what's it called? Like, the hot hands? The, like, hand warmer things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be good.
Could be good.
Could be fun.
Could be nice. I don't know. The children, meanwhile, they're back in the tomb, and they start fighting immediately about whose fault it is that this happened. But eventually they're like, well, this doesn't fucking matter because it's very cold in here and we're alone and where's our mom? And so they were like, we need to get her back. So that night they huddled together and they just shivered all night. And then the next morning they got up and they got dressed and they went out to find their mom. They're like, we got to bring her home. And so up in the sky, the sun looked down and he felt pity for these two little kids. So he shone a little brighter and he like basically lit up their path so they would know where to go. And he sent them a gift. 3 golden arrows, which the boy wrapped in deerskin and tucked into his coat. So they walked for a long, long time. They ate blueberries and tart cloudberries. And these are cloudberries.
Oh, I love those. Yeah, I've seen those before and they're so, so good. I've never tried them, but I just love everything about them.
They look like little orange blackberries, which makes me think they'll be very sour, but...
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that they're supposed to taste like, kind of like strawberries.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're eating these tiny blueberries and little tart cloudberries, and that's what they're surviving on. Finally, they came to the edge of the tundra, and they, like, where it was all snowy and icy from blizzard, they start to see green pines and dark larches growing on the low slopes, and they're like, okay, well, we're obviously somewhere new now, so that's probably a good sign, right? And they're like, maybe, I don't know. From the trees, though, they suddenly start hearing a desperate mewing sound,
Aww.
And from out of the bushes sprang a baby deer, a little fawn.
Oh, not a cat?
Nope, a little deer just like, ah!
Oh my God.
It was running from something. A wolf that was chasing after it and snarling, and it's like silver fur is like all like sleek and like laid down flat, and its ears are behind it because it's really running after this deer, and this deer is just like crying.
Aww.
So the boy draws out his first golden arrow and he sends it flying out after the wolf, who turns around and basically just like hightails it out of there, running from the light. Mm-hmm. And the baby deer ran to the children, and it's panting and it's crying, and it's just like, that was terrible, and he was chasing me, and it was awful, and I don't know where my mom is. And the little girl's like, okay, calm down. So she kneels down and she sings to the deer while she's petting its little head. Oh. And she says, "Nigh eye, little deer, nigh eye, little ears, nigh eye, little nose, nigh eye, little deer." And I'm assuming she's like petting its little ears and its soft little nose and stuff as she's doing it.
Oh, this is how I talk to Francis?
Yeah, 100%. And so the deer starts feeling a little calmer, and they get up to leave, and it like trots after them because it's afraid to be alone now. And it's like, well, I don't know where my mom is, so I guess I'll go with you too.
Aw.
So Blizzard saw the children coming from her tomb at the top of the mountain, and she was furious. So she sent someone after them to stop them. Quote, no. No. Not this. This is a nice story, not a terrifying one. By the way, this is going to be a shorty, cutie little baby episode, because this is a short story.
We should link in the show notes for this. There's a video that I really love of these two construction workers, and they find this baby deer, and they like pick it up to like move it somewhere, and then every time they try and put it down, it like screams. So they're like, I guess we just have to have a baby deer now.
I guess this is just our baby.
It's just a video of these two construction workers like holding this baby deer, and then they like try and put it down, and it goes like, ah! And they're like, okay. That's what I'm picturing.
I like it. That's exactly this baby deer. Okay, so Blizzard sends someone to stop them. Quote, thud, thud, thud. Blizzard sent the giant Sleep.
Oh, no.
So the closer Sleep got to them, the heavier their legs started to feel, and the more their eyelids started to droop, and they knew that if they fell asleep in the snow, they would never wake up again. And so the girl began to sing. Quote, her song floated like snowflakes and sparkled like sleigh bells.
Aww.
The giant yawned and stretched, and soon it laid down, and it was fast asleep on the ground. And the children and the baby deer tiptoed around him and continued on their way.
Pulled that Uno reverse.
She did. She was like, who's sleeping now, bitch?
Looks like you're a little sleepy bitch.
Who's the sleepy bitch now? And he's like, why do you keep saying bitch? What kind of children are you? And they're like, not bitches.
Bitch.
That's all in this book. It's wild.
Oh my god.
Okay.
And the little deer is like, bitch.
Bitch. Okay, so suddenly, as they made their way around the giant and they kept going on, they heard a soft clicking from the trees. And the fawn's mom burst through. Clicking, not snapping. She knelt down and she allowed the children to climb onto her back, and they walked together for a long time. So she was basically like, you guys are sleepy because of that sleep giant. Go ahead and take a load off. At last, they came to the edge of the forest, where the mother deer set the children down, and she and her baby trotted away. So the low slopes were behind them now, which mean that the children were faced with like these giant like mountain slopes, and they're like, well, here we go. So they have to start climbing. They climbed and climbed and climbed until their arms were super sore and heavy. Their palms were sweaty, knees weak, arms were heavy. They're vomit on their sweater already. Mom spaghetti, you know.
Sure.
Eventually, they reached a wide, deep ravine, and they were forced to stop. The whole crowd grows so loud.
I'm just picturing these children and this baby deer eating spaghetti together.
And vomiting everywhere. The girl tiptoed to the edge of this ravine, because they've reached a wide ravine.
Yeah.
She tiptoes to the edge, and she, like, kicks a stone over, and it clattered and rattled. Down, down, down. And they just don't hear anything else. It just keeps falling forever, basically. Oof. And she, like, peeks over the edge, and her stomach lurches, and she feels like she's about to tumble over the side and, like, never stop falling. And she's like, whoa, nope. How are we going to get across? And so the story is, like, she could have sat down and cried. Most people would have. They would have just sat down and been like, well, I guess my mom is gone forever. But instead, she took action. Like a fucking badass. She took a knife, and she just cut off her long braid.
What?
And then she unraveled it, and she braided the hair together into a really long, strong rope, and she put a loop at the end, and then she tossed it to her brother. And her brother took that rope and threw it like a lasso until he caught a rock on the far side of the abyss. And then he secured that on their side and like pulled it a couple times, and they tested it. And then like they looked at each other really nervously, and the girl's like, only one way to find out.
Ah.
And the girl took her first step onto her hair bridge.
Oh.
And it held.
I was picturing like they were gonna grab the end of the rope and then swing over. No, it's a bridge.
It's a tightrope basically of her hair.
Jesus.
Yeah. If they were to swing over, it's such a wide ravine that they would then be stuck at, way down in the darkness and then have to somehow rock climb up versus just walking across. So now they're basically having to tightrope on her hair.
Yeah.
She made her way across really, really slowly. She's like struggling to keep her balance, and she's really trying hard not to look down below because it's just black. It's like pitch black below. And as she's doing this, Blizzard catches sight of her from her tomb, and she starts screaming. And she sends darkness. And in an instant, all of the light in the world is gone.
What?
Yep. So the girl has been like, okay, just keep your eyes on like the light above you and basically in front of you. And all of a sudden it's just like all black, and she doesn't know what's up and what's down. And like it's like suddenly the sensory deprivation is so confusing. Like she's about to fucking tumble off this thing, which is honestly one of the scariest things that I've read in a book in a while. That's really disorienting. So she's starting to panic a little. And from the other side of the ravine, the brother quickly draws out his second sun arrow, and he sends it flying through the darkness, a call for help. And the sun answered. And he sent down his 3 brothers to help him, and his brothers were the Northern Lights.
Aww.
So the children walked on, lit up by the dancing colors above their heads, and made it across safely. Hold on, I'm going to show you the picture. I really loved the way this book is illustrated.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's gorgeous.
You want to describe it?
Yeah. You have like an icy ravine with trees on either side, and then a rope stretched between the 2 sides. And there are these 2 children who are like tightrope walking across the center. And they're both wearing like traditional, I guess reindeer fur clothing. And there are 2 deer that are like going back into the woods behind them. And then overhead is just this like beautiful green show of the Northern Lights. Really, really pretty. And
then at the top, do you see her little tomb at the top?
Oh, I didn't. Oh, that's so cool. Like over on the mountain, there's it looks like a teepee, a tomb that is like white and glowing a little bit, which is very cool.
Yeah.
My brag. I've gotten to see the Northern Lights, actually. Ooh. I got to see them from an airplane over Reykjavik. So they were like not so much above me as like beside me, which is really cool.
That's cool. You were in them.
Yeah, it was very, very cool.
Love it. We should go to Iceland.
Yeah.
On the other side of that bridge was Blizzard's ice home, and she howled and swooped down on the children, and she tried her hardest to knock them off the cliff's edge as they were walking, so like all these blizzard winds just keep slamming into them and trying to throw them off the fucking cliff. But the boy fired his 3rd and final arrow, and it flew straight into her heart. Quote, with a swirl of steam, she was gone. Then there was their mother, free, hugging them and kissing them and telling them how proud she was. End quote. And they journeyed back to their deerskin tomb together, where the brother and sister worked together to tend their fire and keep their mother warm and well.
Good.
The end.
Good.
Yeah, they learned their fucking lessons. Sorry, Mom. We have to do our chores. We get that now. No more honk shooing away.
That's really good.
I also like that the girl just has short hair now.
Yeah.
Cool lady.
I like that. That felt like that could be a movie. That felt like that could be like an animated movie kind of thing.
Yeah, in like the same animation style as your Skeleton Inuit story.
Oh, yeah.
How beautiful like that animation was. I feel like that could be really good.
Yeah. I'm picturing a bunch of stuff from Balto.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really cool.
So I searched and searched and searched for the sources of the story. So I will say this collection of tales does have a list of sources where she got these stories from at the end. This one was translated by James Riordan in The Sun Maiden and the Crescent Moon Siberian Folk Tales, which was published by Canongate in 1989. But that's the only source for this. And so and I looked it up. I mean, I looked up every single iteration that I possibly could. I searched in like old, what's it called? Royalty, what's it called? When you're not in like copyright, like open source fairy tale collections and folktale collections. And I could not find anything to do with this. And if you just type in sister and brother, you get a bunch of mixed results.
Yeah.
If you type in like sister and brother Siberian folktales, you get a bunch of like Hansel and Gretel versions of things. And that's just not what this is.
Yeah.
So I'm still looking for some source material for this. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot. Another complaint I have about this book, as with all of the like positives, which I think this book has a ton, and I think everybody should get it. It'll make you happy. Money can buy you happiness, and it's in the Winter Tales. However, I'm never a fan of old folktale collections that say written by somebody. I think in the past we have come across so many that say edited by or rewritten by or adapted by.
Retold by. Collected by.
Collected. You could do so many other things. You didn't write these. And so that bugs me. It's just like one of my pet peeves, you know? Like, especially Don Casey does a lot of old, unknown story adaptations, right? She got kind of a little bit famous off of, well, not famous, I guess, but recently she wrote a book, I think won an award called Little Bear, and it's an Inuit tale. And like just this hits on all of my pet peeves of people who take Indigenous stories, like non-Indigenous people who take Indigenous stories, and they're like, oh, this was written by me and it's an Indigenous tale. And it's like, well, then it wasn't written by you. Like you are retelling it.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, I'm like, yeah, you put what book you got this from, but you didn't write this. Like it's just annoying. I don't know if that's nitpicky, but I feel like in 2023, we can get out of that habit.
Yeah, like specifically in the way that books are sort of accredited, it's just as easy to say like by Don Casey.
Yes.
You know, and that's like fine. It's like a little bit better. It still could be better, but it's like
ambiguous enough that it's, or you can just put your name at the bottom, Don Casey.
Yeah, but like
even like Andrew Lang doesn't ever say written by Andrew Lang. It's always edited by Andrew Lang. You know?
This book that I just told my story from, retold by Robert D. Sansucci.
That's the ethical part, and I think that's extremely unethical to say written by. I hate that.
Yeah, I do also, I understand that it can be like a publishing thing where
maybe she wasn't the one that made that decision.
But that is something that I think is an important part of like modern publishing of folktales that is good to call out and say like, yeah, that's not written by.
No, it's not. Especially when you're taking Indigenous stories.
Yes.
You have to be more ethical than that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, and there's no excuse anymore. There was an excuse probably back in Andrew Lang's day, but he wasn't doing this shit.
Yeah.
So do better. Just storytellers around the world. But yeah, so I am going to purchase the Siberian Folktales book that is edited by and translated by James Riordan because it looks really good. And I'm interested in Siberian folktales, to be honest. Like, they're always kind of fucked up a little bit. And I like that.
Yeah, I love the stories from like those like far northern places where it's just like dark all the time and cold, and they're like, well, what if fucked up shit happened about it?
We have to entertain ourselves somehow. Let's steal all light from these children while they're dangling over a ravine on their hair. Yeah,
they got to keep themselves entertained somehow. Yeah, I love it.
When she cut off her hair, it reminded me one of the best episodes of the show Naked and Afraid. If you don't know, which you probably do, but Naked and Afraid is a survival show where they put two people, a man and a woman, together in the wilderness somewhere in the world for 21 days. And they are completely naked. They're not allowed to wear any clothing, including like underwear and stuff like that. And they are allowed each to bring one thing. And it's supposed to be like a survival thing. So a lot of times somebody will bring like a pot, like just like an iron pot or like a metal pot to like boil water and stuff in. And another person will bring like a knife, like a multi-purpose good knife. Yeah. Somebody will bring like fire starters or somebody, you know, and then you're like, that's what they can bring. And this one girl, she was wearing like these crazy wild, her hair was super long and she just had it in like all of these tiny long braids. And so people were like, that's an insane hairstyle, but okay. And she never mentioned it.
Yeah.
And then she showed up with like, I think a knife or a fire starter. But as time went on the show, she like lasted the full 21 days, I think. And she just, whenever she needed rope, she would just take her knife and cut off one of her braids and then like rebraid it. And then she'd wrap it across things and she'd make shit with it. And she had like, so she would start fires with it. Like if they needed like kindling, she would just like chop off one of her braids and do it. And so by the time she was done, she had no braids left. But it was also like, oh shit.
That's so cool.
She's being fucking tactical. She brought extra tools and didn't tell anyone. So they never knew to like take away her like hair ties and stuff.
I love that so much.
Yeah, I thought that was really badass. It's one of those like, go girls.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like very few people would actually think to do tactical shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just cool.
Yeah. But that's really fun.
That's
I
what
like
this
that.
reminded me of. Okay. Well, Max.
Janey.
Episode 110 done.
Damn, dude.
Next episode, 111 or 111 is a kind of a lame angel number, I think.
Probably.
You are number 111. We were thinking about doing a themed episode and letting you all decide what our theme would be.
So at the time that this comes out, we probably will have already decided and recorded it.
Yeah, maybe. Join our Patreon if you want to be on lists of like themes and stuff like that, though.
Yeah.
I'm pitching possibly mythology as one of the themes we could do because I feel like it's always fun. Maybe scary stories.
Ooh, could be fun.
Winter stories, monster stories. I mean, there's a couple different things we can decide on.
Good.
Could be good, could be nice.
Could be fun.
Maybe just like Brothers Grimm. I feel like those are always weird.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, we're going to let the people on our Patreon and our Discord vote on what they think our theme should be for 111. And if you would like to be part of that, check out our show notes and join our Patreon. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun and good.
It's a good old time over on the Patreon and Discord. And listen to the bonus episodes because we just took a week off and we're going to take, I think, 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's and much needed breaks for us.
Yeah, we've been doing this podcast for
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we've really taken a break before. So
we've never taken a single break for this podcast. So
specifically, Janey has never taken a break. Janey does so much work for the podcast all the time. And it's amazing.
I'm fucking ready to take a week off.
Yep.
Okay, so, but you'll be able to keep up with us because we will still post our bonus episodes on the Patreon. Okay, and go check out these pictures on Instagram and check out our TikTok and all of our socials. And
do we still have a TikTok?
We do still have a TikTok.
Nice.
It's at Sort of the Story. It doesn't get updated often, but whenever I put a soundbite, it goes on TikTok as well. So if you're not an Instagram person, you can get some stuff over there.
Nice.
And you can email us at sortofthestory@gmail.com. And people do, and it's fun. And rate and review this podcast.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Or else.
All we want for Christmas is 100 reviews on Apple Podcast. That's what I want. Right now we are stuck at 66. We have been stuck at 66 for so many weeks. And I feel like I'm going crazy. I know there's more than 66 of you. There's more. I know exactly the numbers of people who download on Apple Podcast.
Listen, we're looking at you.
We're looking straight at you. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcast, just give us a 5-star review. Please. Leave us something weird.
Please.
All right. Well, hopefully that that did it, right?
Yeah. Hopefully that did it.
Okay. And we love you guys, and we will see you next week for episode 111.
Bye.
Bye.
I was going to ask you a question because it's a weird question, and now that we're on the test,
we do have to like limit the weird things we say to each other to save for the podcast.
Yes. If you ever would like, I could polish your brass goose for you.
Hey, Max. That's our relationship has very few boundaries, but that is one of my boundaries.
I'm sorry.
Don't touch my brass goose.
I'm just looking at your brass goose, and he could use a polish, and I would love to do that if you ever wanted me to. He's looking a little bit tarnished.
Thank you. You're a good friend, but that kind of...
I know that you can polish your own...
kind of friend.
I know that you can polish your own brass goose. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying that I would be happy to do it if you ever wanted me to.
So I got that brass goose. I have a tiny tabletop brass goose, and I got it at a thrift store because... in Missouri, when we moved to Missouri when I was little, on the porch was left behind, like 3 things were left behind in that house that we bought. 2 brass geese on the porch, And they were kind of big, they were heavy, and they were just random brass geese. And we all immediately fell deeply and madly and irrevocably in love with them. And then we're like, who would leave you behind? You're our babies now. And then also a giant, heavy, inconvenient pool table that could not be moved out of the room. So which was very fun for us kids. And so when my parents left the Missouri house and they moved to Virginia, they took the brass geese. And now they've moved to another house in Virginia, and the brass geese have traveled with them everywhere they go, and they are our brass geese, and I hope I inherit them one day. But I found this little brass goose at a thrift store, and I immediately sent a picture to my mom, and I was like, oh my God, they had a baby. And she was like, oh my God, they had a baby. Anyway, so I have the baby.
Yes, he's a good baby.
He's a good little baby.
He's very small, and I love him.
And he's a dirty baby. No,
Yeah.
he's fine.
And he needs a bath.
His parents have never gotten baths. If he gets too clean, they'll be like, not ours. And they'll disown him.
That's not true. That's a myth about brass geese, actually.
If you touch that brass goose, his parents will not want him anymore.
Anyways. Just offering.